Tyrion's the ultimate frat bro.
Guys, girls, welcome to our final episode on A Game of Thrones. So, real quick, my name is Arik.
And I'm Lillian, and we admin over at the Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones Discussion and Theories Facebook group.
And we've had about 15 or 16 episodes on select chapters of A Game of Thrones. And today we will be summarizing Volume 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire and serving superlatives, administering accolades, and damning decisions in the Glass Candle Podcast's first ever award show. So, here is a quick rundown on how this episode will work. We will be recapping in order Arya, Bran, Sansa, Tyrion, Dany, Jon, Cat, and Ned's POV arcs. And throughout the episode, we will give awards in the following categories. Nicest Guy, the most #badass moment, the best ship, which was a group poll in our Facebook group, and we'll discuss those results. The biggest reader opinion turnaround, so from when you first read the book up until this point right now, how has your opinion shifted on whichever character the most? We go into dumbest POV character, and then the dumbest decision. And then to oppose that, we will award the smartest POV character, which was an admin-only poll. So that would be mine and Lillian. Let's see if I can name them off the top of my head. Matt, Casey, Brett, Alan, Joe, Alexis, Kat, and that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody. We voted in our little admin chat, and then we will award the smartest POV character based on those results. And then we will award smartest decision from any character. Afterwards, we'll jump into the best and hottest sex scene in the book, because George R. R. Martin is fantastic at writing sex scenes, even though he loves them. He loves them, and it's great.
I didn't know we were looking for the hottest sex scene.
Oh yeah, the best.
Okay.
If it's the best, it has to be the hottest, right? Anyway, so going hand in hand with the best sex scene is the most deserved death, and then the most undeserved death, and then who should have died. And with who should have died, it's not which character did we hate the most that we wish would die, because then it'd be Joffrey for 3 books, and then it would be Ramsay for 2 books. It's who, given their circumstances, should have died, instead of the fake out, like, Deus Ex Machina kind of scene we got with the lift. We're going to go into an award Greatest Downfall, Most Improved Political Station, the non-POV Most Valuable Player, which was a group poll, which has already been decided, and we'll discuss that and give our takes on it. The biggest surprise / reveal of A Game of Thrones, who held the biggest influence over Westeros from the prologue to Dany Hatch and Dragons in that time frame only, nothing extending beyond the dragon hatching. Who won A Game of Thrones, and that was a group poll as well, and again, that was from only the prologue until a dragon's hatching, and we kind of phrased that. We'll get into the details of how we phrased it later on. And then the POV MVP before we close out the episode. We are anticipating this to be our longest episode yet, and probably our most fun-filled and most interesting one. You know, we've seen a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos where they recap the book, but never quite in such a fashion as we are here. So we thought this was a bit original and a bit different. So hopefully you guys enjoy what we got coming up. What do you think, Lillian?
This is gonna be a shit show.
Unlike our other podcasts, which are not shit shows, right?
Yeah.
Our character recaps, we already gave you the order, so I am going to start off with our Arya POV recap. Lillian, are you ready for this?
Do I need to take notes?
You've read the books, right?
No.
So just imagine the first season of the show, but entirely different.
Okay.
All right. So Arya is the third child and the second daughter of Ned and Catelyn Stark. She gets her own direwolf, and she names her Nymeria. She's buds with her half bro John, and before he runs off to the Night's Watch, he gives her a personalized weapon that she names Needle. Ned decides to take her south to King's Landing with him and Sansa. She's kind of the opposite of Sansa, and on the way down, she befriends this dude Micah, and they play swords and they go run off and have adventures and shit like that on the way down to King's Landing. So once they hit the Trident, Sansa and Joffrey Baratheon, the Crown Prince, Robert Baratheon's quote-unquote son, they run into Arya and Micah playing swords in the woods. Joffrey is a dick and talks shit to them, and then Arya steps up and she kind of tosses his expensive sword in the river, and her wolf, Nymeria, jumps him and bites him in his arm. This forces Arya to chase away Nymeria, and in retribution, Queen Cersei orders Sansa's wolf killed. And then also, while they're out searching for Arya because she runs away as well, the Hound kills her friend Micah. Arya is now figuring out that the world kind of sucks. So once they arrive in King's Landing, Ned arranges for Arya to start sword fighting with the esteemed former First Sword of Braavos, Syrio Forel. He teaches her the unique water dancer style, as well as many useful meditation and self-control techniques. During a, quote, catch the cat exercise, she wanders deep into the Red Keep's underground and overhears unknowingly Varys and Illyrio Mopatis talking about Ned, Cersei, and spies. She tries to tell him, but Ned brushes it off. Arya is next in class with Syrio when Kingsguard Sir Meryn Trant demands custody of her. Syrio refuses, and Arya runs away while he fights off a bunch of guards and Trant himself. Arya spends a few days wandering around Flea Bottom and is in the crowd gathered for Ned's death. Night's Watch recruiter Yoren steals Arya away to take her home in her final moments of A Game of Thrones. So, Lillian, did I miss anything in particular about Arya's recap here?
Anything specific about Arya? No. But
All right, cool. So I
hey,
did my job.
I like the name of Joffrey's sword that she threw away. His name's Lion's Tooth?
Lion's Tooth, and Renly thinks it's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, Renly kind of gets a real big joke about it. He thinks Joffrey's a little bitch, and I was just like, Renly, I might be buddies with you if you didn't act differently in the future. I really
With
like Renly in A
Renly?
Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I like Renly in A Game of Thrones. We've talked about this before. I wasn't a big Stannis fan. Like I was a Stannis fan in the show, and then I read the books, and I was like, Stannis is kind of a dick. Until he lost Blackwater and went north, and I was like, okay, I get it now. But in A Game of Thrones, I was just like, Renly's kind of cool.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's funny. Like he's a chill dude. I liked him in this book. So like when he hears that Arya disarmed Joffrey and tossed his sword in the river, he kind of like can't contain his laughter. He's just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck,
he has to
stupid.
get kicked out of the
Oh my
room.
god, little bitch. And
Yeah.
it's hilarious. He guffawed.
Yes, that is the specific wording, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some minor details in there, but for the most part, that's what Arya's arc is like. Um, we get into a bit more detail in the things that she happens. Like one of the best things she does is when she runs away from the Meryn Trant Syrio fight. She exercises like some really great self-control and some clear thinking in her evasion and escape from the Red Keep, which for me at least will come up a little bit later. But yeah, I liked Arya in this book. She was a little bit of a brat, but she kind of was a lovable, rebellious little brat.
How was she a brat? Where was she a brat?
And she's a brat to Ned. Like Ned's just like, oh god, Arya again? Like, how many times do I gotta tell you? Like, all this other stuff. And since Ned is our main character, since Ned is kind of slightly annoyed with her rebellious state at such a young age, like that kind of translates to us as the reader, or at least me as the reader. Where I'm just like, yeah, Arya, like do what you're told, be like Sansa.
She's just a tomboy. Like, I don't see that as her being a brat.
I mean, she's not acting in the way that Ned needs her to act, and because Ned is our main character, because it annoys Ned, it annoyed me. But again, not annoyed in like an extreme sense, but just like come on, Arya, what are you doing?
So, since she didn't fit the patriarchal, whatever the fuck, I don't know those words. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
the patriarchy, you had it entirely correct. The patriarchal structure.
Yeah, so because she wasn't what was expected of her, that makes her a brat.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe brat is not the right word, the correct term to use it for, but it made her tough to deal with as far as Ned's concerned. 'Cause she was tough to deal with Ned. Ned did have a tough time trying to navigate the correct path for her in terms of where she wanted to go and where he wanted her to go.
She
So
tried to
finding that
save him, and he like told her to fuck off.
nothing to do with what I'm talking about here, but
Well, I'm just saying.
okay. What I'm saying is, Ned had an idea of where she wanted to go, and then Arya had an idea of where she wanted to go, and them clashing in that built up an annoyance in Ned, and with Ned having like 28 chapters and Arya having two, it kind of skewed us more towards Ned's side, where we're like, yeah, Arya, you need to act more in line with Ned. You're shaking your head no.
I don't agree with you.
So with Ned being the main character and Arya having 4 chapters, we're supposed to side with Arya?
First of all, Ned had 15, Arya had 6 or 7.
Obviously, I was exaggerating. Arya had 4.
No, she had more than 4.
She had 5.
Okay. Second of
Hey,
all, Arya reminds him of Lyanna, so why should he be so frustrated?
because she's what, 8 years old, 9 years old.
Fine,
Well,
whatever.
that's why. Like Ned is trying to raise his 8, 9, 10 preteen-year-old daughter in a way that this society has constructed for him to raise his daughter, and she's contrasting that norm because he has more chapters and he is the undoubted main character of this first book. I think we are intended to side with Ned, even though this whole patriarchal system where women and young girls are supposed to follow this certain path is frowned upon in today's day and age, and this whole thing is a deconstruction of the feudal society. Because we have so many chapters in this angle, it's meant for us to view it in this kind of certain way, and then upon like deeper rereads, we're supposed to be like, oh, okay, so like this is not the right way. Like Arya should have been able to do whatever she wanted. But yeah, just on this first way through, I I think like as readers, maybe we're not meant to, but we're inherently drawn to Ned's way of thinking than what Arya wants.
That doesn't make any sense to me because the
Why not?
northern women are completely different. I
Not all
can't
of them.
see.
Aside from Mage and the Mormons, who?
Barbari's pretty strong, but we don't know her yet in this book, so
Well, she's the head of the house,
I shouldn't take her into account though. Like the only
and
one.
she's the widowed head of a house anyway.
You're not going to change my mind on this. I don't think Arya's a brat.
Well, I mean, like I don't like your argument of this isn't how Northern women act isn't true.
Lyanna was willful and did what she wanted.
But she was still betrothed and sent off.
She wasn't sent off.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She wasn't sent off, but she was still betrothed and like commanded to marry Robert.
Yeah, and she didn't like it.
Yeah, and she started a war because of it.
Let's not.
Sure,
Let's not
sure,
do that.
sure. Alice Karstark is the only other Northern female, and Wyla Manderly,
Hmm.
and both of them are rebellious constructs in this kind of line. They are the exact same as Arya. They have their own path that they want to take, but their patriarchal heads of houses have, directed them to act in a certain way, and
Dude,
both of them kind of rebel against it.
why am I making this argument? I call everybody a stupid woman and say that they don't know what they're doing. I just realized that.
You call Kat and Sansa a stupid woman
Yeah,
because they're not, quote, northern women.
they're not. Arya doesn't
Yeah.
count. Okay, I just
I mean,
realized
and
how
are
hypocritical that was
vast
right now.
examples of northern women.
Fine.
You
Okay.
don't think Kat and Sansa are northern men, and therefore you don't like them.
We'll get to them later.
Anyway, as far as Arya's arc, this is going to be a long enough episode as it is with her arguing whether or not Ned wants Arya to act a certain way or not. So yeah, so that's Arya's POV. A lot to dissect in there, but in an overview, that's what happens to Arya in this first book. So we're gonna go and award the nicest guy or girl person, nice person, most non-assholey person of A Game of Thrones. This one was easy for me, especially because I just reviewed Arya's arc, and my awardee, my nominee, is Jory Castle or Cassell.
Aw, I love
I've heard both.
Jory.
Yeah, I know. He's such a great guy, right?
So sad
So
when he died.
he's very friendly with Arya. He's very much a mentor to her. He's very loyal to Ned. His father died in service with Ned at the Tower of Joy, correct?
Yep.
And then Jory has stepped up and filled that role as captain of the guard. We don't hear anything bad about him in Arya's POV and Ned's POV. And he just seems like a really good guy who was killed by either Jaime Lannister himself or one of Jaime's guards in a little scuffle in the street. Ned calls it like payback or retribution for Catelyn kidnapping Tyrion. But yeah, so in A Game of Thrones, I nominate Jory Cassell. I've always called him Castle. What do you call him? Is it
Cassell.
Castle or Cassell? Who came up with Cassell?
I don't know.
Was it the audiobook?
How's it said in the show? Do we ever hear
Don't
it in
know.
the show?
I'm sure we do because I can picture the actor's face.
Well, yeah, 'cause Jamie sticks the dagger in his eye, and I remember I was mad. In the show.
Oh, is that how it happened? Yeah, I forgot
In
about
the
that.
show. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember in the book either. I remember that now, but I just remember what the actor looks like.
Yeah.
I always called it Castle.
I have the audio book, but I can't. I feel like it is Cassell in the book, in Roy Dotrice's. But he pronounces shit really weird. Petire for Peter.
I'm sorry.
There's
Tire? Are you kidding me?
Petire, and then Brienne. He says Brienne.
Well, that's not that far off, Brienne. That's what I say, Brienne.
I
It's not Brienne. There's no A in there.
can't think of. There's a couple, like when you first start listening to audiobooks, that are super annoying, but after a while I got used to it. The most cringe
Never done
thing
the
though is
audiobooks.
him reading in A Storm of Swords with the sex scene between Lysa and Peter, and he's
I've
like,
heard. I've
yeah.
heard. Yeah. Don't.
Okay. All right, back to nicest guy. So this one was really hard for me. I thought about doing the Hound for a second, but then I was like, well, he killed Micah.
He's a dick.
No, he's not.
He's more nice in Clash of Kings than he is
Well,
in
yeah,
in-
it gets better, but so that's why I couldn't justify actually picking him. But I did. He was one of the first ones I thought about. So my nominee is Jorah Mormont. So he saves Dany's life more than once. He didn't have to follow her. Your face. He didn't have to follow her after Viserys' death, but he chose to, and he tries to provide her with good counsel, to leave and save herself from the Khalasar. and he really truly cares about her welfare. Granted, he was spying on her, but I feel like saving her life all those times like redeems him. Go ahead.
Okay,
Why am I wrong?
because he was spying on her, and he was doing it all for money. I'm sure in this book, like especially when he saved her in the Dothraki market, like that's when his motivations changed. However, for half the fucking book, he was spying on her and doing all this shit for money
Yeah.
and personal gain. So I don't know if I can, get behind that. But okay, that's your nominee.
I
So
told you this one was really hard for me.
it's okay. That's fine. That's your nominee. So Jory Cassell and Jorah Mormont, who wins nicest person
Jory.
between those two? Jory?
Jory.
Jory Cassell, the nicest guy in A Game of Thrones.
All right, so the next one is most #badass moment.
Yes.
All right. So my honorable mention is the dire wolves. I couldn't pick just one. So we've got Summer, Ghost, and Greywind ripping people's throats out in different places
They do
within
that
the
a
book.
lot. Which one in
And-
particular?
What do you mean?
Which
one?
moment? Which moment in particular?
That's why I have the dire wolves in general for my honorable mention.
Okay.
Because I couldn't pick just one moment because so Summer saves Bran's life when the cat's paw comes.
Mm-hmm.
Greywind essentially saves Bran's life again when he's captured by the wildlings. And then Ghost saves
Bran.
Jon and Gior.
He tries, but he doesn't do
He notified them of the I was
Yeah,
gonna call
and
them the others of the whites.
he ripped Uther up quite a bit too.
Yeah.
You didn't know that wouldn't work. But yeah,
So
okay.
maybe they're just #badass characters then, not necessarily a moment.
They're dogs.
So my nominee for the moment is Barristan leaving the Kingsguard. He definitely didn't deserve it. He carried himself really well, took off his cloak, took off his armor, threw down his sword, and he went out like a G. He even took out a couple of the City Watch guys on his way. But yeah, I just love the way he kind of gave it to Joffrey.
Shit talk Joffrey, name drop Stannis, and got the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a whole lot of honorable mentions for this one. I was trying to narrow it down a little bit, and there was a couple I grappled with, but I didn't feel necessary to drop them into honorable mentions. So my nominee for most #badass moment is Robb and Theon versus the Wildlings in the Wolfswood. Like you kind of mentioned with Greywind already, but we see Robb in action. This is the first time, and I want to say the only time that we actually see him sword fight.
Yeah.
Or at least the only time in A Game of Thrones, for sure, that we see him sword fight.
Yeah, because he tries to spar with Joffrey, but it doesn't happen.
It's sparring, it doesn't count.
Well, Joffrey wanted to use real swords, and then Roderick said no, so then they couldn't do it.
Yeah, because that's fucking crazy.
And then so during Whispering Wood, we're in Cat's Mine, so no, we don't get to see him actually fight. This is the only time.
Right, and then just metagaming this beyond into Clash and Storm, I don't think we see Robb sword fight at all either, do we? Because none of our POV characters are ever with him. Cat always hangs out in Riverrun, and Theon, fucks off in the beginning to go up to Seaguard. So yeah, so this is the only time that we see Robb handle a sword through a POV, and he cuts that dude to shreds. Random Wildling number 1 and 2. They have names, I'm sure, but they don't matter. They're introduced in the chapter and they die in the chapter. Osha's the only one that lives. But Robb kills a couple. Greywind tackles a couple and kills people. And then at the end, old boy's got Bran, with a knife to his throat. And then out of nowhere, Theon snipes him through the chest. And Robb's you could have fucking got Bran. He's like, but I fucking didn't though.
Yeah.
And it's just Theon, you cool motherfucker. So that gets my nominee for most hashtag baddest moment when we see Theon and Rob in action. Theon doesn't get a whole lot of kill time, action time throughout the books. He kind of takes over Winterfell and like has other people kill the Winterfell folks. I think, right? He doesn't do a whole lot of. He like takes a minute to hack off that one dude's head, but that's an execution. It's not a fight. And so I think this is the only time we see Rob fight, and I think this is the only time we see Theon fight. And that gets my nominee for most badass moment.
Okay.
So now we're at a standstill because I think mine should win.
I know. Like, I don't know if I can concede this one.
I really think mine should do it. How do we solve these? We didn't fucking
we didn't come up with a way.
I just assumed that you would always agree with my picks.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. Because I'm a stupid woman and I'm just gonna go with whatever the guy says.
Whoa, self-conscious much? I didn't say any of that.
Fuck off, dude.
Well, I mean, all right, so that was an awesome moment by Barristan.
Mm-hmm.
To criticize and knock your nominee down a little bit, all he did was talk shit and ran away. And then we don't find out till later that he killed people on his way out. Or did anything. And then we found out in other chapters like how important it was, like what the world ramifications were for Barristan leaving like that, and like how much that meant to Tywin. So go ahead and knock mine down.
I have to give it to you since my honorable mention included Grey Wind.
You're not going to challenge me at all? All right, so that's... Who's keeping track? But that's 2 for me. Rob and Theon in the Wolf's Wood wins the most hashtag badass moment. Go ahead and comment down in the post and tell me how wrong I am. And then what other moments were like super awesome and badass for you guys? Wasn't really a whole lot. I mean, as far as action is concerned, there wasn't a whole lot, but there's a lot more in the same tone as Lillian's nomination for Barristan, telling Joffrey to go suck his dick and fuck off. And, it's definitely
not exactly, but yeah.
That's basically what he said. I mean, if he was in 2018, that would be a thing.
Okay.
So go ahead, Laws. What's up?
Alright, so for our next recap, just so you guys know, somehow I got stuck with all the dudes because Arik wanted to do all the chicks, so...
No, yeah, we thought it'd be interesting if, like, I did all the female POVs.
That's not how it happened.
Laws did all the male POVs.
That's not how it happened.
And then we alternate.
That's not how it happened.
That's exactly what we agreed on.
That's not how it happened.
Whatever.
Anyways, so I've got Bran, and in order to really, give depth to Bran, I gotta start before Bran with the prologue. So just real quick, from the viewpoint of a Night's Watch Ranger, we're introduced to the others who are going to be big throughout the story, who've not been seen in 8,000 years, and we learn about whites. So, moving on from that. We got little Brandon Stark as the 7-year-old son of Lord Eddard Stark of Winterfell. I totally didn't write down his mother, but his mother is Cat.
Obviously.
As a callback to the prologue, Bran witnesses his father behead a ranger for deserting the Night's Watch. On their way back to Winterfell, the group finds the little direwolf puppies. Bran is set to go to King's Landing with his father, along with his sisters, but has a terrible accident and falls while climbing.
Falls?
JK. He catches Jaime and Cersei banging and gets pushed out a window. So Bran's in a coma. He's having some trippy dreams about a crow. He sees around the world, wakes up, and decides to name his direwolf Summer. Oh, and while he's in the coma, someone tries to kill him, and Summer saves his life.
Yeah, passing moment.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
So, while having a paralyzed pity party, Old Nan tries to drop some important knowledge on Bran about crows and such things, but he doesn't want to hear it. Bran wants scary stories, so Old Nan starts to tell him about the others and how they were cold, dead things, but is interrupted by Maester Luwin. Thanks, Luwin. Tyrion stopped by on his way home and brought plans for a special saddle for Bran, since he's broken and crippled and whatever else. Bran tries out his new saddle outside Winterfell and is captured by wildlings before being saved by Robb, Grey Worm, Summer, and Theon. Summer did play a part in that. I forgot about that. Robb calls the banners. And Osha drops some knowledge on Bran about the old gods and the others, telling him Robb is marching the wrong way. Bran and Little Rickon have the same dream about Ned in the crypts, and a raven confirms that their dream was true. Ned is dead. How was that?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Bran in this book. Like, not a lot of like history happened, but because I read this book after I got The World of Ice and Fire, so after I breezed through A Game of Thrones and then A Dance of Dragons, I read, World and didn't really care about all the stuff that he mentioned.
Yeah, Bran's chapters I don't really care for. They're really slow. But yeah, they're really basically just history lessons for us, and that's about it.
Really, aside from that one comatose, or him getting pushed out the window, well, it was very important. And then his dream where he sees all kinds of shit, like, that's pretty fucking weird and interesting. But afterwards, you just kind of get like secondhand information that he got elsewhere, don't you?
Well, Crypt Dream chapter, we get that whole the Kings of Winter thing, so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We don't hear about that anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, you figure out that he had a dream that Eddard was dead before they actually got news that he was dead. So that bit, but I mean, like you got to read 8 pages or whatever, however the fuck long the damn chapter is to get it. And I don't know, Bran's chapters kind of just dragged for me a little bit in this
I
book.
agree.
Anyway, you have anything controversial to talk about with Bran? I think we kind of both agree with him on this one. Or agree with each other on this one.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything.
He has that dumb idea to sit in Hodor's backpack and hold a halberd.
Yeah, that's right. He wants to be a knight.
Our podcast, which is fucking weird that like he doesn't want to be like, I'll just ride a horse and wield a lance and be a knight. Instead, his idea is just like I said, sit in Hodor's backpack and hold a spear.
I forgot about that.
Dumbass kid. Anyway, so this moves us on towards our next award. Lillian, go ahead and announce this one.
Okay, so our next award is Best Ship, but my question is, how the hell does Bran lead to Best Ship?
Because Bran is a recap that we had to do, and Best Ship.
Well, you made it sound like it related to it. I was like, am I missing something? Or Bran and Hodor's ship?
Bran has relationships.
All right.
So, obviously, and I needed a spot to put this one in.
All right. Okay, so
and this was like low in prestige, so it needs to be in the beginning of the episode. Yeah, so I'll just read our poll thing here, and then we'll go through the poll option or the highest poll results, and then we'll talk about ours. So this was this was who has the best friendship / marriage / sibling relationship in the first book only. Not taking any details that we find out later in the books. And well, who won this group poll? Because we submitted this out to our Facebook group. If you're not a member of it, search for us on Facebook and join in ASOIAF /GOT discussions and theories.
Yay, you got the name right for once.
Here we go. For once. This will never happen again.
It'll never happen again.
Yeah, lots of good content going on there. Search the group, join the group. That's what we're based out of. So who won this poll?
All right, according to our group, Ned and Robert have the best ship.
Solid choice. Yeah, it looks like we had 29 total votes for Ned x Robert. Second place with 16, or actually that would be 18, is John and Sam.
Hold
And
on.
then
How many did you say Ned and Robert had?
I said 29. I wasn't counting the extra two because I have friends in the group, so sort of their profile pictures next to each other, and then 29. So it would be 31 votes for Ned and Robert.
I got 34.
Well, that's fucking weird.
Okay. Anyways, moving on.
Ned and Robert is first,
Is the point.
and then John and Sam is second,
Yes.
and then a distant third is Arya and John, and then in a close competition with fourth is Tywin and Kevin, which is an underdog position there. And then everything else gets 3 and 2 and 1 votes and are not worth mentioning. So Ned and Robert is the number one, followed closely by John and Sam, Arya, John, Tywin, and Kevin. So which one did you pick?
So, before I read anything, going off my own thoughts, I automatically was with Ned and Robert too. The BFFs basically trigger the whole story. Robert going up there to get Ned. If he hadn't done that, then we wouldn't see all of Westeros and everything else. Their love for each other basically, squashes a lot of the beef between the Lannisters and the Starks. And unfortunately, Ned's love for Robert causes him to be cautious about revealing Cersei's secret, which leads to bad things. But Scott made a good point how good of a friendship can it be if it's only one secret away from basically imploding. So that changed my mind a little bit on it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Like it really kind of places their friendship on a very fragile kind of precipice.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's fair to the entire nature of the friendship. Ned and Robert, that is, have a long-standing history in friendship and bond dating prior to Ned's promise to Lyanna, which I don't want to say trumps it because obviously Ned chooses Lyanna's promise over his friendship to Robert, and he chooses to keep that secret. But I mean, there's certain kind of ties that run deeper than buddy buddy.
Mm-hmm.
There's familial promises and bonds and stuff that you kind of have to keep if that's part of your personal beliefs and whatever, that you need to keep closer than your outside your family bond sort of connections there. So I don't think Ned keeping Lyanna's promise his friendship with Robert at all. It adds I almost want to say it reinforces it, because if he didn't care about Robert in any way, like, he wouldn't feel bad about it. But I think Ned does kind of feel some sort of regret that he has to hide this from Robert, that he fears what Robert would do if he told him, and he doesn't want that for Robert. And that kind of just like reinforces his love and his friendship for Bob there, because he knows if he told Bobby like this thing that he was keeping from him, it would kind of implode Robert even more. And so him keeping this secret is also keeping Robert together, because as long as he convinces Robert that Lyanna was this certain thing that he's built up and not what Ned knows she was kind of hiding, or not, I can't really say she was hiding it from him. She didn't tell him, but so I guess technically she was hiding it. That's not the point. But because Ned keeps what happened there at the Tower of Joy from Robert, I think it's more of Ned protecting Robert from the truth than him being like, "Fuck you, Robert. You're my friend. You're not my family."
No, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a detriment at all. And I agree with Ned X Robert being the best relationship in a Game of Thrones.
I have an honorable mention though.
Okay.
So another one that I really like is Dany and Drogo. She basically started out as a broodmare that was sold, and they really came to love each other, which was surprising, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really was like when you put yourself in the headspace of Daenerys as a character. She's what? 14? Is she 14?
I thought she
Or
was
is she 13?
13.
She's a 13-year-old girl, and in my experience as a 13-year-old girl, um, you can imagine that she's a bit wary and scared and confused and unwilling to go with all this bullshit that Viserys and Illyrio have constructed for her to go through with. And the fact that she finds this dude who's fucking huge and scary looking, who has this terrifying reputation of like killing people a lot and like never once losing, and has this like giant fucking army behind him of a bunch of rapists, killers, and scary people too. And this guy like comes to not be a total asshole to her specifically because kind of is an asshole to other people.
Yeah, and people, really romanticize him, and I don't want to have anybody think that I'm doing that. He was a rapist and a terrible person, but when it came to Dany, he softened up.
Right, and again, not being an apologist for rapists and murderers, it was a part of his culture. So
Yes.
in his primitive, tiny little brain, it wasn't seen as immoral to him.
No, yeah, it was the
So,
norm. He
so again,
did what he
yeah,
was supposed to do.
and you can look at it two ways, and it's okay to look at it two ways from our modern perspective and to putting ourselves in the character's perspective. So from the character of Drogo's perspective, like he was a famous and good person because he could do this stuff. In our perspective, he's a fucking asshole, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But really, like this is really a Beauty and the Beast kind of story, you know.
Stockholm syndrome. Is that what you're trying to say?
Not at all. Uh, Drogo is this barbarian who, when we first meet him, we're just like, okay, this guy's fucking scary, and then he's kind of rough with Dany, but he's kind of not. Like he grips her hard and shit like that, but eventually, like he calms down, and as her story progresses, as we'll get into later, everything kind of like flows more naturally between them.
Well, and
But
definitely, like, from the perspective of someone who watched the show before reading the books, seeing the sex scene, between them where he just takes her versus reading it is totally different. And you see him differently because he's very gentle with her.
which one was worse in your opinion? You mean the show
The
looked worse,
show is
right?
worse.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's been so long since I watched the first season, so like
He, like,
I'm just
rapes
I
her.
I, I have that screen cap on the memes and shit
Yeah,
that I've
that
seen.
was the first time.
Yeah, that didn't look good.
Yeah, versus, reading this, I was
It looked
so,
really bad.
like, I was so surprised reading this when it was like, and it was so gross too, when like she.
Save the details.
Okay,
Save the details
all right, fine,
because we have an award coming up there.
all right,
But yeah, no, like that's a good honorable mention. They definitely start off at point A and they have quite a journey to point B and then to point D, which is Drogo's
he's
dead.
dead.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, and, over the course of this one book, I think it's a very it's a good growing relationship that ends in kind of tragedy because we start off and we're just like this guy's fucking whatever, and at the end he's dead and you're kind of just like I don't know,
yeah,
or at least
sad.
Danny herself. As far as setting reader opinions aside, Danny starts off like oh this dude, and at the end she's really sad. So
Yeah,
character opinions is what matters, not ours. So our next award is the biggest reader opinion turnaround. So from when you first read the books or saw the TV show or however you want to judge us from your first impression of the characters up until this current moment right now, which character has your opinion changed the most? This was a tough one for me. I had a couple of them. So my honorable mentions are first Dany. So Daenerys was kind of uninteresting at first to what did I put here? Uninteresting to massive win out of a shit situation. Um, so at the end of Dany's arc, we'll get into later, but she hatches dragons. Spoiler alert. And then just do the whole thing. I was just like, okay, cool. Like she's in like her family sucked and got kicked out, and at the end she hatched dragons. That's cool. But then further, group interaction and character analysis and rereads, it's shown her in a different light of how much she's grown and her weird dragon dreams and fire visions and shit like that have kind of given her like a secondary depth that I didn't quite catch on because I was just like some dumb idiot just reading surface level throughout the first couple books through all the books when I first read them. So Dany has really taken on like a couple of different levels of interest from my own perspective, and along with her Sansa as well. Sansa, I was like, oh, she's a dumbass and I don't like her, and then further analysis and
Really?
deeper reads and look again from reading as a reader until I put myself in the character's perspective and started seeing things as the character does, which everybody should have read, but obviously people don't read as
You
like
pretended you were a 12-year-old girl?
well, I mean, like when you take a look at the character itself and then you try to analyze and figure out her actions from the situation she was in from her perspective, things kind of change. Like as a 28-year-old white dude in 2018, I can be like, Sansa, you dumb girl, you should have done this instead. But when I put myself in the position of a 12, 13, 12-year-old girl in this weird war-torn political situation where her dad's a traitor and her brother is bringing an army down, and she doesn't know any better, then opinions kind of change.
Did you just call Ned a traitor?
Ned was named a traitor. That is canon.
Okay.
The people in charge of the crown called him a traitor. Did you read the book? He got his head chopped off for it.
That doesn't make him a traitor?
Yeah, but Sansa was told he was a traitor. That's what I'm talking about. Like, from her perspective, she was told he was a traitor. And then she has to try to navigate through all this stuff where the adults are saying this shit, and she's a fucking kid, and she can't be like, no, he's not. And they're going to be like, oh, you're right, he's not. She's trying to navigate this kind of arena where they're like, your dad's a fucking traitor. What are you going to do about it? And that's a tough spot for a 12-year-old to be in.
Okay.
So anyway, those are just my honorable mentions and not my my nominee. So do you have any honorable mentions?
No, I do not.
Okay, so who's your nominee? Just take a break from me talking.
Well, it's definitely not Sansa, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's good. Well, wait, right. Is that good? That's not good. That means you still don't like her.
I still don't like her. I'm trying with that, but I still don't like her.
You just don't. You're not looking at it from the right perspective. That's all it is. It's okay. You gotta open your mind sometimes.
My nominee is Catelyn.
Okay, in the positive or in the negative?
Oh, did we have the option of the negative? Can I do that?
Yeah, read your opinion. So, like, did it go from I hate this character to, oh, actually, I kind of like them, or I really like this character to, oh, actually, this character kind of fucking sucks?
I hate admitting this. I think everybody knows how I feel about her.
I don't think I'm going to believe you. If you say you like Catelyn now.
Well, through the podcast, through the reread, and discussions in the group, she's kind of grown on me. She's gone from basically an idiot who took Tyrion without being prepared to, someone who I have empathy for as a caring, intelligent woman who wants to do what's best for her family. And yes, I'm sincere about that.
Yeah, I hear you say the words, but I you're saying the things that I want you to say, and I don't
You
think you
don't
mean
believe
that.
me.
I don't believe you because I've never seen you say anything like this except for that one podcast that we
I was
did.
gonna say, I
I don't see
just
you.
did this.
I don't see you post about this or any kind of thread at all ever talk about this.
I did a cat
I'm not
appreciation
saying.
thread.
When was that?
It was a long ass time ago. It was like October when we first started doing the reread because she was getting so much hate in the Citadel reread group. I did a cat
Probably from
appreciation
you.
thread. Actually, no. I was trying to be positive about her. Didn't really
Were we
work.
talking in October? That was so long ago.
Okay,
Fucking
anyways,
waste of tears.
so I actually am very sincere about that. As much as I don't know if I ever fully hated her. I know I feel a lot stronger about Sansa,
You
but
convinced me that you fully hated her.
I don't think I fully hated her. I think I just thought she was a dumbass.
She didn't love Ned, and she never did anything
Yeah.
for Ned, and everything was her fault. And
Yeah, I remember that. I was
I mean,
very convinced that
a lot of
she,
strong hate towards Catelyn.
yeah, she
Anyway,
wanted to be married to Brandon. She loved Brandon, and she had to settle for Ned. And then, you know,
yeah, which is weird because she didn't know Brandon at all, and she didn't love
they
Brandon at
met.
all. They met. That's not what I said. She didn't know Brandon.
All right, so who's your
Right, I
nominee?
mean, whatever. So my nominee is Eddard Ned Stark. And when I first read it, or well, watched the show, I was like, oh, cool, there's Boromir, my favorite character from Lord of the Rings. And also a good actor from, other things or whatever. And then I read the book, and I'm like, okay, cool. This, I know he gets his head chopped off at the end. Spoiler warning, sorry guys. But reading the book, I'm just like, he's making all the right decisions, and he's being a good guy. As I've said before on this little bit here, further group discussion and analysis and rereads, I've learned Ned's kind of a hypocritical kind of asshole, and he makes a lot of dumb, stupid ass fucking moves, and he has solutions presented to him, but he's very, very stubborn. He's not inflexible. He has no sense of I don't want to say prioritization, but he has no sense of choosing the right path to go to and who to influence and back at certain times. Um, he's really unqualified for his job, and he got his job from you can't really call it nepotism,
I was gonna say nepotism.
but you can call it nepotism because the king used to be friends with him 20 years ago. So obviously this guy's the best person for the job. Like, it doesn't make any sense, and it's terrible, and it's bad, and everything happens, and Ned is just a fucking, like, he's not the worst, but he's really bad, and he should have been left in Winterfell and never have come south, and he wouldn't have fucked everything up.
Hmm.
And he's bad. He's a dumb person, and he makes all kinds of bad decisions. And my opinion has turned around on him so much. And he's also like a huge asshole to Jaime, a judgmental prick.
Yeah,
I'd even go so far as to say.
but we
Um,
don't know that though in this book.
True, but I can't separate that, and that's why I saved it for last. I am human, and I make mistakes, just like your beloved Ned Stark. But he's bad. He's so dumb, and I didn't realize it at first. But like I said, from my initial viewing, reading until now, it's just like, this guy's made so many dumb fucking mistakes, and it's so bad. Like, why would you? Hey, Cersei, I know your kid's a bastard, and I think you should just like run away before I try to supplant you and name Stannis the king. You have like 2 days to plan
Get the
and
fuck
react
out.
to this. Yeah, he said you have 2 days to leave, which Cersei was like, I have 2 days to plan and counter this. So thanks, you dumb idiot. can I suck your dick? And he's like, oh my god, no. And she's like, okay, fine. Maybe she thought I would buy him another day. And then lo and behold, like, she gets to 2 days or however the fuck long, and she beats him. And he's just like, oh my god, how could this happen? I told you 2 days ago what I was gonna do. It is so dumb. It's so fucking stupid. I don't know how we can agree on this decision.
It's our opinions, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really don't like Ned. Do you really, really like Kat? You used to really, really hate Kat, though.
See, that's the thing, is I can agree with you because we through our talks and stuff, I realize the same thing too, that Ned is not, the most honorable person that everybody thinks he is. So I agree
Yeah,
with where
he's
you're
a
coming from.
fucking liar. Oh, yep. But before we move on, I just want to say, and I don't know if this counts because this isn't revealed technically now, but he lied to Kat, which forced her to hate John, which forced John to hate his life, even though his life wasn't that bad at all. All because he could save his. Wait, why? To protect John? To make John's life better? So he lied to make John's life worse to make John's life better.
So that
Or
was
some
one of the
stupid
reasons
shit.
why I didn't like Kat, was because of her treatment of John. Thank you for reminding me of
Because of
that.
Ned. Because of Ned.
Because of Ned, apparently.
Apparently. Definitely because of Ned, because he told her, yeah, I fucked a girl and this is the baby that came out.
Just the
she's
baby
like,
that
"You're
came out.
fucking asshole."
Uh,
Which she was okay with him fucking somebody. It was that he brought this
fact
kid
that
home
he-
and
yes.
called him son. And
yes.
she's just like, asshole, my kids are your sons, not him. And he's just like, shut up, woman. And he's like, Ned,
You
dick.
will never speak that name again.
Yeah. And she has a fucking point.
Yeah, a lot of men do have bastards, but they don't bring them home. So,
Exactly. And called him son. And like, she comes home and John's there first. And she's like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, it's my kid. Is that my kid too?
is that
Cool.
my kid
They can be
too?
brothers. They can be brothers. They'll grow up together. They'll be
Oh my
friends.
God.
It'll be cool. Everybody's just like, Kat shouldn't have got mad at that. It's like, shut the fuck up. Okay, so has your
You're
opinion
making me mad right now at Kat again. So apparently,
what?
I'll concede to you because you're making me mad.
Well, no, like I was gonna ask, like, has your opinion from Kat gone from like the depths of hell to
So she's okay.
Earth to she's okay? Yeah, and my opinion of Kat went from she's alright to Kat's great, she's good, and then my opinion from Ned went from he's awesome to fuck this dude.
Yeah,
What is your opinion of Ned gone from?
pretty much the same. Like I thought he was great. He was, one of my favorite characters. He was trying to save everybody, and then
He was doing everything right.
yeah, and then you realize like, what the fuck? You are an idiot. Yeah, I could go with
The
either.
Let's Hate Ned podcast. I mean, I never want to deprive Catelyn of any awards or accolades or recognition, so I'm going to give this one to Catelyn.
You
Because
sure?
Ned doesn't deserve. Yeah, Ned doesn't deserve any.
deserve shit.
Alright, so now we are going to go on to the Sansa recap. So, Sansa is 11 years old at the start, the second child and eldest daughter of Ned and Catelyn Stark. Sansa gets a direwolf and names her Lady. She also gets betrothed to Prince Joffrey Baratheon early on in the story. She has been raised and excels in the traditional feminine roles opposite of Arya. Ned takes her south to King's Landing, and on the road she has a nice date with Joff until they run into Arya. Joff is an asshole and eventually gets bit by Nymeria, and Lady pays the price and is executed. This increases her feud with Arya, and once they get to King's Landing, so Sansa kind of turns into a total sports junkie, getting massively involved with the hands turning. She learns all the rules, who the favorites and underdogs are, and she probably even had debates with the fandom on matchups and like had her own fantasy team and her own bracket filled out and stuff like that. She was super into all this stuff.
With the fandom, with the flea bottom
Mhm.
fandom.
No, with the upper class noble fandom.
Okay.
Why would Sansa talk to
I don't know. Why
David?
are you referring to
Why
them as
would
the
he
fandom?
talk to this person? Anyway, so she thinks this reaffirms her book snob notions of the world with knights and chivalry and all that other kind of stuff. She has an interaction with the Hound that kind of gives her some doubt on it. Uh, and she gets a crush on Loris and is constantly playing hot or not with her BFF Jane the whole time while she's in King's Landing. Uh, Super cute. Anyway, things turn up when Ned plans to cancel the betrothal and send her back home. Uh, Sansa then kind of runs off and cries and then tells Cersei in hope that she'll let Sansa stay in the castle and so marry Joffrey. So Ned's plan fails. Cersei then forces Sansa to name Ned a traitor and beg oaths of fealty from her brother Robb to the new King Joff. Uh, Joff initially agrees to spare Ned for Sansa's sake, and then he flips and he executes him. Sansa is forced to stay in King's Landing as a hostage. Joff shows her Ned's head, along with other people from the Stark household that came with him, and she considers pushing him off the ledge of the Red Keep there and like ending things with a quick splat right there. But the Hound kind of notices what's going on and he intervenes, which really seeds and sets up Sansa for a Clash of Kings moving on. So that's the majority of the Sansa recap. Did I leave anything important out? I don't think I did.
No, I don't think so.
I really enjoyed recapping Sansa. Like, you
Okay.
don't really think about it whenever you're reading her chapters, but she's totally into the fucking joust. And she wrote down brackets with Jane and like discussed matchups and stuff like that. And like as I was looking at it, I was just like, Sansa's totally one of us. She fills out brackets. I'm sure she makes her fantasy teams. She's a book nerd. She's a book snob. She hates the real world, and she's just like, fuck this bullshit. Like the books are better than the real show.
I'll give you the book
Sansa's
snob thing, but
Sansa's awesome. Oh
that's
come
it.
on, you don't. She was super into the joust.
Fucking idiot.
Like she mentions the rules to the shit, and then whenever Gregor like chops off his own horse's head and he goes to
Boris.
attack Loras,
Mm-hmm.
Sansa says to Ned, she's like, well fuck, this means like Loras is the winner, right? And he's just like, oh, I don't know, like rules and like I don't know. But then like the narrative says Sansa had the right of it, and but then Loras goes to the Hound, he's like, you saved me, so like you can be the winner now.
Yeah, whatever.
Like Sansa like in this like weird thing that happened in the joust, she's like, well, this means Loras is like the winner by default because Gregor disqualified himself when he chopped off his horse's head and then he went to attack Loras. So obviously this means like Loras is the winner, right? Yeah, see, you're confused, but Sansa read the rules
No,
of
I'm
the
not
joust,
confused.
so she
I just
knows.
don't think it's that big of a deal.
Well, you're not a sports nerd, so
Okay.
anyway, the recapping Sansa has further reaffirmed my unending love for the character. I bet she'd be a hockey fan.
No,
So, do you want to
because she
announce
hates the
our?
North.
She doesn't hate the North. She wants to go home.
No,
She
she
hates the
doesn't.
South. Yes,
She
she
doesn't want
does.
to go home.
Yes, she does.
No. She likes it in the South.
In this book, you're correct. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. In this book, she does not want to go home. But there's like one of the best teams in the NHL is in Tampa Bay, Florida. So suck it. What's our next award?
Our next award is Dumbest
I
POV. I
don't
think
know how this relates to Sansa.
You're the one that wrote the schedule, so oh, it can be Sansa. She's actually
It,
not my pick, but I can see it
it
relating to her.
cannot be Sansa.
Um,
It absolutely cannot be Sansa.
all right, so my nominee for dumbest POV, I, I'm assuming we have the same person. I have Ned.
Oh wow, yes, I agree. I think Ned is the biggest dumbass of this book.
All right, so that was a quick one, or do we want to give our reasoning?
I thought I did a great job of doing it on our last one, man.
Oh, yeah,
He
true.
makes bad decisions. He tells his enemy his plan and expects her to not react to it.
Yeah, that's
He
kind of what I
tries
have
to
written down.
crown, tries to make Stannis the king, despite never hearing once from Stannis since he got there. And how long was he in King's Landing for? Months, at least.
Yeah,
At the least, a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months,
I think it was
probably
longer
half
than
a
that.
year. It was a fucking long time. And he keeps asking about Stannis, and Stannis never shows up. And at the end, he's just like, "I named Stannis as a king." When he gets here eventually,
At some
has he
point.
answered my letters at all? Jory, Jory's dead. I forgot.
Oh,
Yeah, no, Ned is the biggest idiot. I can see people trying to say that Sansa should get the dumbest POV character award, but they're not. They're looking at Sansa from their own adult perspective, not from an 11, 12, 13-year old's perspective. And then when you think about it from that kind of angle, you can't call her dumb because she's reacting in this world that she was raised in to respect and obey.
I love how you
So,
think you know how the mind of an 11-year-old girl works.
yeah, because I'm in her headspace for 6 chapters in this book. So I am in her mind.
No.
So are you, and so is everybody who's read this book.
I
So I don't. What are you trying to say?
think you have some identity issues.
Nope. I read the book. So our next award is the dumbest decision, and I have a couple of honorable mentions here. One of them was made out of kind of like a knee-jerk kind of reaction. And the first one is Great John naming Robb King of the North. And my reasoning was this has absolutely nothing, all caps, underlined, double brackets, nothing to do with their goals and objectives on moving south. It was not to name Robb a king or to create a kingdom or carve a kingdom or secede in any way, shape, or form. And Robb doesn't do anything in the chapter in which he is named to hint this or condone this or accept this. Everybody just kind of just like it goes crazy. And this is like this big like redneck yeehaw where they're just like, dang. And he's just kind of. I imagine he's sitting there like, what the fuck you? Stop, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck. And then everybody just like joins in. It's just like Jesus Christ, no
Oh.
fuck I wanted. And then yeah, like a 14-year-old boy as a king of 2 kingdoms of a bunch of adults. So I think that was really bad. Without any regard for the political situation that they were in. And then we see in the future, this is metagaming, in the future, Robb being named a king has implications on his political alliances with the other kingdoms and kings in a Clash of Kings that come to his detriment. I had a couple more honorable mentions. Ned refusing Renly. I think Renly proposed the best idea and plan moving forward after Robert Baratheon's death. And Ned was kind of just like, oh, but Stannis. And although Stannis is the rightful king by the laws of succession, in that current circumstance, it would best suit Ned to be like, Renly, you're right. I can understand how that can be challenged, though. Fair enough. I thought, personally, it was a mistake by Ned to just refuse him, because then Renly ran off, and Ned had no buddies. Drogo, stuffing mud in his fucking knife wound, or sword wound, when the doctor was like, don't put mud in your knife wound. And he was like, woman dumb, mud in your ear. And then he died. So it's like, good one, Drogo. Undefeated. Nice. And then Joffrey killing Ned. Nobody wanted him to fucking do that, and it really caused a war because he did that. And it's like, Joffrey, that was fucking stupid, bro. Like, why? We all agreed, but they just send him away. But then you did that, and that's kind of dumb. Those are my honorable mentions. I had quite a bit because there's a lot of stupid fucking people on the Game of Thrones. I'm sure there's more that I missed. Do you have honorable mentions at all?
No, because if I did, it would have been like half the book.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, I got 4. I should stop, right? What's your dumbest decision nominee?
Let's go with yours first because I know you sure as hell won't pick mine.
So my dumbest decision is Ed Eddard Stark telling Cersei his plan and letting her have the time to counter it, which led directly to his betrayal from Peter and to his imprisonment and to his execution.
Okay.
So that one moment where he's just like, "Hey, bitch, I know what you're doing," and she's just like, "Shit, I'm gonna arrest you now." And it was like, why would you you're so stupid. But we talked about this already. So what's yours?
Mine is the moment right after that where Sansa ran to Cersei. She
Why
ruined everything. Because they were set to leave and return to Winterfell, and she went and told Cersei, which on top of Ned's, I dropped my pen, it's bothering me. On top of what?
All she told Cersei was that they were leaving.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest decision of the first book, was that Sansa saying, "Hey, Queen Cersei, we're going back home."
She betrayed her
dumbest
family.
move ever.
She betrayed her family.
She said she was going home. Please let me stay.
She betrayed her family.
That's the dumbest decision of the book?
Yes. Because it resulted in Cersei pushing Joff's claim and imprisoning Ned.
No. Ned saying, "I know your sons are bastards, like, you and Jaime fucked to make Joffrey, and I'm going to call you out on it, and then claim your son as a bastard of incest and name Stannis the king." When Ned told her that, resulted in him getting imprisoned, not Sansa saying, "Hey, Dad says we got to go home."
I think the argument could be made for both of them.
No, I disagree. You were making such promise and such progress. You're coming along great, and then you regressed.
I don't know how my
Sansa said they were going home, so that got Ned killed. I'm sure Cat had something to do with it.
Hey, no, I didn't say anything about her. Although she did raise Sansa.
There. She raised Sansa. Fuck you! I can't support your nominee.
No, yeah, I'll concede to you because we do agree that Ned made some really stupid decisions.
No, I need you to unnominate Sansa saying, "Dad said we gotta go home," as the dumbest decision in the book.
It was a dumb decision.
It wasn't dumb.
How is it not dumb?
How is it dumb?
Because she gave away the plan.
What plan?
That they were going to sail off for Winterfell.
That was a plan?
That was a plan. To leave.
The plan?
For their safety.
No, the plan was, I'm going to tell everybody that your kids are bastards by incest by your brother Jaime, and that Stannis is actually the true king and heir to Robert. That was the fucking plan.
Which is what Cersei knew. Yes, which is what Cersei knew.
Told her that.
But she didn't know that Ned was planning on sending the girls away for their safety.
That doesn't fucking matter. Sansa telling her that keeps Sansa there in King's Landing. Sansa saying, "Hey, Dad's gonna send me up north," affects Sansa only.
Okay, well then that's a stupid decision for Sansa.
Arya kind of too, because Arya sees the guards at the boat and then doesn't get on it. So it affects Arya and Sansa. But it doesn't lead to Ned getting arrested. You're smarter than this. Come on.
I am not, actually. I really am not. My friends tell me I'm the dumbest smart person they know. And sometimes I really prove it.
Why would they say that?
Are you being facetious?
No. No?
I don't believe
No.
you.
Okay, well, I can't agree with you.
Ned wins.
I hate that you seem like you're just giving up.
Well, I. What do you want me to do? I can't
Listen,
really argue for my decision
your
when.
pick. You can't. Yes, I agree. You can't argue for it.
All right then,
So our next bit is the I believe it's the Tyrion recap.
Tyrion. Yes.
All right, take us away.
All right. So Tyrion's recap. Tyrion Lannister, the imp. He
Yeah.
is chilling out with his family in Winterfell before heading north to the Wall. He
Hmm.
breaks down the realities of the world to Jon Snow, which causes Jon's wolf ghost to snap at him. At the Wall, Tyrion tries to fight Alistair Thorne with a crab fork.
Haha.
Hilarity ensues. Tyrion pisses off the Wall
Wall.
before leaving and kisses and makes up with
Yes.
the Bastard of Winterfell. On his way
God.
home to King's Landing, Tyrion is captured by Cat and is accused of trying to kill Bran. Tyrion is imp-napped and taken...
Kidnapped.
Imp...
Kidnapped.
Imp-napped.
What?
Because he's the imp. That's why I was like, I couldn't read it.
I mean, like when adults get taken hostage, they still call them kidnapped.
Well, he's imp-napped and taken to the Eyrie. And on the way, he saves Cat's life. He ends up tricking Lysa into giving him a trial by combat and gets the sellsword Bronn to champion for him. And so begins their bromance.
Bromance.
Bronn wins the battle,
Which was
causing...
fifth and best ship. BT dubs.
Okay, Bronn wins the
Tyrion
battle, causing Tyrion to be released. On their way out of the Vale, they're attacked by the mountain clans, and Tyrion convinces them to not feed his cock to the goats and gets them to join him on his journey. Tyrion and the army of misfit children meet up with Daddy Lannister. Tywin blames the Lannisters going to war on Tyrion and tricks the clansmen into taking the van against the Starks. But before the battle, Bronn brings the whore Shay to Tyrion. Spoiler, she really is a whore. The battle commences and
Really?
Tyrion manages to get some kills in. Jaime's been captured, Ned's been beheaded, and the realm is in chaos. Tywin sends Tyrion on a mission to act as hand in his stead and make Daddy proud. Got anything else?
No, that about covers most of it.
So, side note, I'm kind of like really proud of myself for not being super formal with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're doing really good. I was laughing. So, what do you think about Tyrion for this first book?
So, I don't know. In the book, he's not exactly the easiest person to like. You know, he's a cocky asshole, and I liked him in the show. You know, first season, I liked him, I think, because of Peter Dinklage more than anything, but reading about him, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of my opinion of him changed so much later on in the books, but I can't really say, you know, a whole lot of good things for him right now.
I mean, I would say the good things is that he's a cocky asshole. That makes him an enjoyable character to read.
He is enjoyable.
He is a bit more carefree and sassy in this book, because this is the only book that he doesn't have a large amount of responsibility placed on his shoulders, or a large amount of revenge and hate and bitterness placed on his shoulders, as we see at Dan's, where I'm just like, fuck, I don't like Tyrion at all.
Yeah.
So this is his best look.
You didn't like him in Clash?
Oh, I think he's less. He's not less sarcastic, but he's less carefree because he has his weight on him.
Okay, so you just don't find him as entertaining.
He is still entertaining, but you know, he's more like whatever in the first half of this, and then once Kat justifiably arrests him based on the evidence that she's given, he kind of, you know, tones up his tone.
Okay.
Tones up his tone. He gets more serious. But he still maintains a bit of his sassiness and his sarcasticness, which runs present throughout everything. It's just the tone of it changes from John, you're a bastard, and all the funny quips that he makes about that, where he's like, nothing fucking matters until we progress darker and darker and darker
Yeah.
until he's just like, I want to rape and kill my sister, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay. Um, but no, like I liked him. He had a lot of like when he brings the wildlings into Tywin's camp. Father, may I please keep them?
Yes, that was
You
some
know,
funny stuff.
uh, when he fights the battle, he has an interaction with Bronn, and he I forget the exact line, but he's talking to Bronn about like make sure you're like right beside me, and then when the battle happens, like Bronn is nowhere to be found. And he's like, where the fuck were you, dude? And he's like,
Yeah.
you seem like you did okay.
Yeah, I had forgot that he
What happened to your spike on your helmet?
yeah, he
You lost-
spiked a horse.
He's like, Tyrion's like, I know exactly where it is. Thanks. But yeah, no, like I like Tyrion. I can't say I liked him the most in this book because I don't
Yeah.
like anybody the most in this book because this book is kind of. But no, like he was cool. He was fine.
Yeah.
So this leads into our smartest POV character, which was an admin only poll. So all you member plebs didn't have any say in this, and it wasn't just mine and Lil's debate going on here. So as we said, Alan, Joe, Kat, Alexis, the Mama Men, Matt, Casey, mine, Lillian,
Brett.
and Brett.
And then us.
All of us voted. We all didn't vote.
Only
And
6, and that includes you.
we all selected. We didn't all select Tyrion as the smartest POV character. And not to throw any shade to my fellow admins who gave me my job. Job. You guys know I admin like so hard. But like I almost like when we suggested this kind of category, it wasn't book knowledge smart, and I wonder if the translation kind of got lost in there, like which one of the POV characters in this book smart versus who made the smartest moves and decisions and whatnot.
And that was
And
my fault because I didn't give that context when I started the poll in the group chat. So
it's
blame
it's
Lillian.
fine. It's fine. Like, and I'm not saying this is what they all took it as. But I disagree that Tyrion is the smartest character. I think, in terms of who made the smartest decisions relative to their character, was Arya.
Okay.
What do you think?
Get ready for this.
Yep.
Cat.
No. Okay, stop trolling me.
Cat. Do you want
You
me
think
to
Cat?
you want me to read my paragraph?
Yes, please. Please read your paragraph.
She realized the guy that tried to kill Bran wasn't some rando and was a hired killer. She knew she had to get the info
Okay.
to Ned and King's Landing for the protection of him and the girls. She
Yeah.
knows her sister is batshit crazy and tries to prevent Tyrion's trial from happening the way it did. She
Okay.
counsels Robb to be decisive and strong because she knows how important it is to the Northern Lords and they'll, just take over everything. She
Okay.
also counsels to sue for peace and to make alliances to prevent any more loss of life. She
Okay.
made some really good moves.
I agree with all of those. Those are great
And
moves.
that was sincere. So stop calling me a liar.
Didn't get any kind of sarcasm or nastiness. uh, okay, so before I move on to my defense or the poll defense, because Tyrion is the winner by majority vote, so I'll poke holes in Catelyn first and then in Tyrion before I build up Arya. Okay, so if I had to say that Catelyn wasn't the smartest point of view, so given what she knows about the situation with Bran, and the letter with Lysa and all that stuff, so she did rely solely on the information from Littlefinger to arrest Tyrion, without any other backing evidence. I don't blame her for taking Tyrion because that's the evidence she was given, and Fuck, nah, no. It does kind of back it up with Lysa's testimony that they killed John Heron.
Hmm.
I can't really get behind the link, the undoubted link at least, to be like, oh well, Tyrion definitely decided to kill Bran because you can't link Bran to John Arryn. So maybe like there's some loopholes there, and Catelyn could have handled that incident a little bit better. Um, so maybe arresting him was not the best decision to make, although I do think it was justified. Um, you did leave out her negotiation with the phrase
I know.
on purpose.
No, I realized it after I got done writing, and I just didn't care to insert it in there.
Okay, because I think that's one of her best decisions.
Well, I said she
Uh,
gives Rob good counsel, and that's kind of part of it, and she helps make alliances. I think that covers it.
okay, yeah, you're right,
I just
you're
wasn't
right.
specific that she went in and she went and seduced Walder Frey and sucked his dick, and that's why there was a marriage pact.
That's not what happened.
We don't know that.
No, okay, yeah, we don't. I suppose.
uh,
Um,
I just totally fuck you up right now.
that's not what happened, though. That's not what happened. You're throwing me off. Uh,
Sorry.
okay, so why Tyrion isn't the best? So Tyrion doesn't make any intelligent, smart moves in the first half of the book, or ish, for half-ish. Um, he gets outsmarted by Kat. Did you say that she outsmarts Tyrion and any would-be pursuers?
Um, no, I did not
Yeah.
say that.
So that's a very smart move by Kat, where she's just like, I am Lady Catelyn Stark of
Of
Winterfell,
Winterfell.
and also from River Run, and I am taking this prisoner away to the Vale. And then, Tyrion's just like, oh, fuck, she got me. I didn't even think she'd go to the Vale. So she outsmarts Tyrion, who the admin voted as the smartest character. Um, and then, and then Tyrion relies on he manipulates dumb people a lot. Mord, the jail keeper person dude in the Vale, he's just like, bro, I can give you a lot of money, and Mord's like, okay, and that's it. Like he has to say it a couple times because Mord's an idiot. Um, but eventually Mord's like, cool, I can get gold. So Tyrion uses his smarts to bribe somebody. I think that was more the gold talking than Tyrion. And then he gets to the mountain clans, and then also Bronn at the same time. Bronn stands up for him and he's like, I'll pay you a lot of gold, and Bronn's like, cool. So Tyrion uses his name and gold to get Bronn. And then he meets the
Tyrion's
mountain
the
clan.
ultimate frat bro.
Yeah, like he really is. Like my dad's gonna hear about this. Um,
He pays for his friends. His daddy has
yeah.
power.
His dad buys
He's got
the
the hose.
kegs. His dad buys the kegs. Yeah, and the girls. And then he meets the mountain clans, and he's just like, guys, my dad has a lot of money. And they're just like, all right, cool, your dad can like give a shit then. And he's like, yeah, my dad totally will. And then he meets his dad, and he's like, Dad, can I have a lot of money? And his dad's just like, no, but you can lead the army on the front line on the left. And he's like, fuck, come on, Dad. And then he happens to survive by luck. And then his dad is like, your brother's dead, so you can go be Hand of the King, I guess. So Tyrion doesn't outsmart anybody. And
Yeah.
I don't know why he's voted as the smartest POV character.
I'm going through our discussion, and basically everything you said right now is what you said in the chat.
Yeah,
Um,
like uh Matt had a a good or lengthy. I think it was Matt.
you, Alan, and Kat are talking about Kat for a long time.
Tyrion manipulating his way to freedom in the Vale makes him the smartest of the POV characters. Again, Matt says manipulating. I say my dad, and like I don't, I kind of don't get it. I actually I don't get it, and I do disagree entirely. Um, and then Admin Allen was going from the perspective of who made the smartest decisions, in addition to what was gained versus what was lost,
Yeah.
from those decisions, and that's a stronger basis for the argument, where Tyrion didn't exactly lose anything based on his moves that he made.
Yeah.
But again, I'm gonna argue against that. Tyrion didn't try to outsmart or use his smarts to win any situations he was in. He didn't lose anything, and then he got a big promotion at the end, and he kept like getting away by the skin of his teeth with his life.
Yeah.
But I can't agree that he, is the smartest person. So, Lillian, go ahead and talk for a minute because I've been talking for
With a little what?
a while. Why is Arya not the smartest POV character?
Oh, because she was your pick, right?
Yeah, she's my pick.
Not the smartest POV for Arya. So,
And for Tyrion, like, what's your argument against Tyrion as well, if you have anything different?
my argument against Tyrion is he didn't do anything that clever. I kind of agree with you on most of it. A lot of it was luck and buying his way out of things. Um, I think the only real smart thing he did, maybe, and this is more book smart than decision making and things like that, was designing the saddle for Bran, which he kind of had already
Oh,
done
yeah.
because he designed it for himself as well.
And he
Um,
took that out of a book, though, didn't he?
no, he had designed his own saddle for himself because his legs are all fucked up.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
Bran's saddle design was based off of that. But I agree with everything else. He didn't trick anybody, manipulate them.
He did manipulate them a
Well,
little
but
bit.
in ways of
I mean, my argument on his manipulation was that his IQ is like way the fuck up here,
yeah,
and then those that he manipulated were way down here. Or at least their motivations to be convinced were not that high. Like
yeah.
Braun is probably not a dumb person, but Braun is motivated by gold, and Tyrion's like, I
hmm
can give you gold, and Braun's like, cool, and like that was it. So it's like that didn't take a whole lot from Tyrion to get there,
Well, I
since
guess
his first offer is, I'm a Lannister and I have gold.
that could be an argument for Tyrion, though, is he knows how to read people.
But he uses that with everybody, so he doesn't read people and like choose who to offer gold to. He offers gold to everybody.
He doesn't offer
That's his
gold to the Night's Watch.
because he's not in a position to where he needs to.
They could have pushed him off the wall.
But they didn't, and he was never threatened by it. He was threatened to be pushed off the veil through the moon door, and he was
Yes.
like, "No, pay somebody to not let this happen to me."
Um. Yeah.
Well, he said
No,
Jamie
I don't.
first.
I don't have any arguments for him to be the smartest POV.
Okay, so why not Arya?
I didn't think about her that much. She's a child. Um. She did make a lot of good decisions. She learned a lot of stuff from Sirio, and she survived. She kept herself alive. She realized that Varys and Illyrio were talking about Ned, and that there could be some potential dangers for him. Um,
Right. I can talk Arya up as to why I think she is, but I need you to poke holes in why she's not.
she picked a fight with Joffrey. That was a
Yeah,
bad idea.
that's true.
Um,
She fights with Sansa a lot, which probably doesn't help her case with Ned.
yeah, that's something that sisters are gonna do, though. I don't think that's a
Yeah,
decision necessarily. Like, it's and Sansa's a bitch to her anyways. So,
they're sisters.
um, that's probably just the worst thing is that she picked that fight with Joffrey, and that was really stupid because it had the potential to really fuck things up, and it led to the death of lady, unfortunately, because Sansa lied. Um, then it led to her getting rid of Nymeria, who, had she been there, could have potentially, protected Arya in King's Landing.
So my case for Arya almost comes entirely from a single chapter, right? Um, so when Trant comes to take her away, and what's his name, Syrio, shields her escape. Her whole bit where she has to cross the Bailey, the courtyard of King or of the Red Keep of Maker's Holdfast in particular. Um, she she doesn't just like flat out like sprint across it. Uh, she's sticking to shadows. She's remembering, all right, they were packing all my shit in the stables. I should go to the stables to get my shit because like that's where I gotta go. So as she's going over there, she sees, or somewhere along the way, I don't remember the exact order in which she sees things, but she sees the dead guards outside the Tower of the Hand, and she's like, bad things are happening. They're killing Stark dudes. I should be fucking careful. She makes it to the stables. She's digging through her stuff. She's trying to find stuff that, like, just a few things that she needs to get back home. So she's thinking, like, already, I'm getting the fuck out of here because I don't like the way things are going down. Like, if I can find Dad and Sansa, that's cool. But I got to make sure like I stay out of sight. She makes a conscious decision. A conscious decision to find her sword. And then when the stable boy is just like, oh, I got you. I'm gonna turn you in. She's just like, no, fuck you not, and kills him. Problematic because she's a child killing people, but like in her little tiny pea brain mind, that was probably a good idea to do that to keep her cover. Morality aside, and then whenever she has to walk across the Inner Bailey, there's guards patrolling the walls and guards walking around all over the place. She's like, I shouldn't run. I should just walk calmly across, and that way no one will notice me or suspect me of doing anything I'm not supposed to. And so she calmly walks across. Nobody notices her, and like she thinks that before she does it, which is miles ahead of what any 8, 9, 10-year-old would think to do, right? And she does it. She remembers her way through the King's Landing underground, and she escapes with her sword, with her cloak, with a couple other things to help her kind of protect herself and blend in. And then when she's in Flea Bottom, she defends herself. She doesn't get killed or raped. She gets shit stolen from her, but I mean it's Flea Bottom and she was asleep, so she was asleep. Whatever. She does kill pigeons. So she feeds herself. She learns the workings of the Flea Bottom kind of foodscape. Like, give them a pigeon, but you gotta pluck your own feathers, and then they might like toss in some other shit, and that's cool. Um, she's like conspiring to steal shit to live. Again, morally bad, but it's smart that this little girl is thinking of different ways to kind of keep herself alive. She goes to the docks, right? To the boat, and she's like, "Sweet, the fucking boat's still there." And then she's like, "Those guys wearing the Stark shirts aren't Starks. This is not good, and this is a trick and a trap, and I am not falling for it." And they call her a boy, and she's just like, "Yep, I'm a dude. I'm gonna leave now." And they're like, "Yeah, go away." And she's like, "Got it. Dodge that one." She analyzes the gates. She knows which gates are good to go through and which ones aren't, and she knows she can't like wander through those. So all this coming from like a little kid with her knowledge and understanding of bad shit happened to Dad, and I should not draw attention to myself, and I need to survive and not get caught because bad shit's probably gonna happen to me too, is miles ahead of what Tyrion does, and I can't say miles ahead of what Kat does. But given the decisions and actions they're faced with, combined with their age disparity, I tend to lean towards Arya.
Okay, I can see that.
But I think Kat makes some great decisions, especially with the phrase, I don't think anyone else would have been able to get through to Walder Frey. And obviously, had they not got through to Walder Frey, Rob most likely wouldn't have camped outside and sieged the twins. He would have fucked back off to Moat Cailin, and then everyone would have gone south, which, I mean, might have worked better for them. But because Kat succeeded, they died. uh, I'm not going to count that against her. Like, well, way to go, Kat. You won the negotiation and you got everybody killed. That's not what I'm trying to say. It is kind of what happened. Because if she doesn't get that truce, or that alliance with Frey, Rob doesn't cheat or, meet Jane. But we're metagaming beyond a Game of Thrones. So that doesn't count. What counts is what happened in a Game of Thrones. And I will concede the larger ramifications of what Catelyn's actions did to Arya's her smaller decisions that affected only her and her survival, despite the age disparity. So I will give smartest PV character to Catelyn.
Doesn't matter because we made this a group one, so we lose either way.
Oh fuck! I said all this time.
Thank you for agreeing with me, though. I appreciate
God
it.
damn! How long did I waste? Where's the fucking timer? Piece of shit! Fuck.
I was wondering why you were making.
All right, I'm back.
I was wondering why you were making me like go against Arya.
All right, so our next one is the smartest decision by any character in a Game of Thrones. My honorable mention is Rob splitting his army at the Twins, which outsmarted Tywin, completely fucked him up, and ruined his siege of Riverrun, and got Jaime captured. And then Kat's negotiations with Walder Frey, which allowed Rob to split his army. So, like, I don't know, like, Rob could have just taken his entire army across and did all that, and then just left Tywin sitting at the fork, being like, "Where the fuck is the army?" But because he split, he distracted him. Stuff like that. Tywin might have caught on, like, "Oh fuck, you ain't coming here. Let's move quick." So one led to the other, but they're not mutually inclusive.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do not.
Okay, so my main decision, I talked about this a minute ago. Arya's decision to escape the Red Keep and avoid capture. I detailed that 45 seconds ago. What's yours?
Arya running away from the Red Keep. It saved her life.
Hey! There we go.
Another easy
My
one for us.
28 minutes. We're not in vain. We don't need to talk about this at all.
No, we got it
All
covered.
right.
Hey guys, it's Lillian. Eric and I ended up with about 4.5 hours worth of material, so we decided to split the episode in half. So this is the end of part 1. Come back in a couple days for part 2. As always, we really appreciate you guys listening. Comment, let us know what you think. Would you have made different choices for the awards? And yeah, see you next time. Bye.